Michelle Cole adjusted her tailored blazer, her reflection sharp in the glass doors of Whitmore Enterprises' Manhattan skyscraper. At 38, she'd built Nexus AI from a dorm room dream into a $500 million tech empire, specializing in ethical AI solutions. Today was her biggest moment yet. A potential merger with the Whitmores, a billionaire dynasty known for their telecom dominance. The email from patriarch Edward Whitmore had been brief but enticing. "We see synergy. Let's talk." Her heels clicked on the marble lobby floor, each step echoing her resolve. She'd faced skepticism before. Investors who doubted a black woman could lead in tech. Competitors who underestimated her grit. But this was the big leagues. The elevator dinged at the 60th floor, and Michelle stepped into a boardroom where polished smiles awaited. Edward, silver-haired and imposing, extended a hand. His son, James, leaned back with a smirk, while daughter Evelyn's eyes flicked over Michelle like she was sizing up a rival. "Ms. Cole, your AI ethics platform is intriguing," Edward began, his tone warm but calculated. "We're eager to explore how Nexus fits with Whitmore's vision." Michelle smiled, laying out her pitch. Nexus's AI could revolutionize Whitmore's data systems, prioritizing transparency and fairness. The room nodded, but James's raised eyebrow and Evelyn's subtle scoff didn't escape her. As she wrapped up, Edward leaned forward. "Impressive. Let's discuss terms over dinner tonight." The invitation felt like a win, but as Michelle left, James muttered to Evelyn, just loud enough for her to hear, "She's got nerve, thinking she's one of us." Her stomach twisted. Was this a partnership or a power play? That night, at a rooftop restaurant, the Whitmore's charm masked something colder. Edward's questions veered from business to Michelle's background, probing her upbringing in Oakland, her single mother's sacrifices. "You've come far," he said, but his tone hinted at surprise, not admiration. As the waiter poured wine, Michelle caught Evelyn's glance at James. A look that screamed, "She doesn't belong." Driving home, Michelle gripped the wheel, doubt creeping in. Had she misread the room? The merger could skyrocket Nexus, but at what cost? Her phone buzzed. A text from her COO, Malik. "They're playing you. Check their last merger." Michelle's heart raced. What had she just walked into? What secrets were the Whitmores hiding? And would Michelle uncover them before signing her company's future away? Michelle's apartment was a fortress of focus that night, her laptop glowing as she dug into Whitmore Enterprises history. Malik's warning echoed in her mind. The Whitmore's last merger with a green energy startup called Soltech had ended in disaster. Soltech's CEO, a young Indian-American named Priya Sharma, had signed a deal only to see her company gutted. Whitmore absorbed Soltech as tech, laid off its staff, and left Priya with a payout but no legacy. The article Michelle found quoted Priya. "They smiled, shook my hand, and erased my work." Her pulse quickened. The parallels were uncanny. Another minority-led company, another synergy pitch. She scrolled through X posts, finding whispers of Whitmore's tactics. Charm offensives masking ruthless takeovers. One post from an anonymous account read, "They invite you to the table, but it's their game." Michelle's fingers hovered over her keyboard. Was she next? The next morning, she met Malik at their Brooklyn office. "They want our AI to whitewash their data scandals," Malik said, tossing a file on her desk. Whitmore's telecom arm had faced lawsuits for selling user data, and Nexus's ethical AI could polish their image. "They don't want a merger," Malik warned. "They want control." Michelle's jaw tightened. She clawed her way through a male-dominated industry, dodging traps set by those who saw her as less than. She wasn't about to let the Whitmores rewrite her story. But doubt gnawed at her. Nexus needed capital to scale, and Whitmore's billions could make it happen. She called Priya Sharma, hoping for clarity. Priya's voice was weary but firm. "They'll flatter you, Michelle, but they'll never respect you." I stayed silent to save face. "Don't make my mistake." The call ended, and Michelle stared at her vision board, pinned with photos of her mother, her first office, her team. Could she risk it all? That afternoon, Edward's assistant emailed, "Dinner tomorrow. Bring your terms." Michelle's heart sank. Another dinner, another chance for veiled slights. But she wasn't backing down, not yet. Would Michelle walk into the Whitmore's next trap, or was she already one step ahead? The restaurant was a cathedral of wealth, all crystal chandeliers and hushed conversations. Michelle arrived early, her red dress a deliberate statement, bold, unapologetic. The Whitmores entered like royalty, Edward's handshake firm, Evelyn's smile tight, James's gaze lingering too long. "You clean up well," James said, and Michelle's skin prickled. Was it a compliment or a jab? Over appetizers, Edward steered the conversation to terms. "We propose a 60-40 split," he said, leaning back. "Whitmore takes majority control, but you stay on as CEO." Michelle's fort paused midair. Majority control? Nexus was her life's work, not a pawn in their empire. She countered 50-50 with veto power on AI development. Evelyn's laugh was sharp. "Ambitious," she said, sipping her wine. "But we don't do equal." The table grew quiet, tension thick as the steak Michelle barely touched. Edward pivoted to small talk, asking about her journey. She shared a polished version, coding at 14, Stanford on scholarship, Nexus's first prototype. But James cut in, "Impressive for someone from..." Where was it? "Oakland." The word landed like a slap, his tone dripping with condescension. Michelle's smile didn't waver, but her grip on her glass tightened. As dessert arrived, Edward slid a contract across the table. "Preliminary terms," he said. "Take a look." Michelle skimmed it, her stomach dropping. The fine print gave Whitmore full IP rights to Nexus's AI. She'd be a figurehead, nothing more. "I'll need time," she said, voice steady despite her racing heart. Edward nodded, but his eyes were cold. "Don't take too long." Back home, Michelle tossed the contract on her desk. Her phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. "Walk away. They'll destroy you." Her breath caught. Who knew about the deal? Was it Priya, or someone closer to the Whitmores? Who was warning Michelle? And what did they know about the Whitmores' true intentions? Michelle barely slept, the anonymous text haunting her. At dawn, she traced the number to a burner phone. Untraceable. Her gut screamed danger, but she couldn't walk away without proof. She called Malik, who'd been digging deeper. "I found something," he said, voice low. "Meet me at the cafe." At their usual spot, Malik slid her a USB drive. "Whitmore's internal emails," he said, "leaked by a whistleblower." Michelle's eyes widened. The emails revealed a pattern. Whitmore targeted minority-led startups, offering lucrative deals only to strip them bare. One email from James to Edward read, "Nexus's AI is our golden ticket. Cole's too proud to see it." Michelle's blood boiled. They weren't just after her tech. They were betting on her silence. She needed an ally. Priya had warned her, but Michelle reached out to another CEO, Marcus Lynn, who'd tangled with Whitmore years ago. Over coffee, Marcus's face darkened. "They'll charm you, then choke you," he said. "I signed their deal and lost my patents. They banked on me staying quiet to save face." His advice? Get leverage. Find their weak spot. Michelle spent hours poring over the emails, finding a lead. Whitmore's telecom arm was under SEC scrutiny for data breaches. Nexus's AI could expose or bury those breaches, depending on who controlled it. She had leverage, but using it meant risking everything. Her reputation, her company, her dream. The next Whitmore meeting was in 2 days. She had to decide, play their game or fight back. That night, another text from the burner phone. Check Evelyn's offshore accounts. Michelle's heart raced. Was this a trap or the key to turning the tables? Could Michelle uncover Evelyn's secrets in time? Or was she walking into a setup? Michelle's tech instincts kicked in. She hired a discreet cybersecurity firm to trace Evelyn's financials, using the burner phone's tip. By midnight, they had a hit. Evelyn Whitmore had funneled millions into a Cayman Islands account, tied to a shell company called Apex Ventures. The funds were linked to Whitmore's data scandal payouts, hush money to silence whistleblowers. Michelle's hands shook as she read the report. This was dynamite, but using it could spark a war. She confided in her mother, Lena, over a late-night call. "You didn't build Nexus to bow down," Lena said. But be smart, baby. They don't play fair. Michelle nodded, her resolve hardening. She'd faced the Whitmores, but she needed a plan. Malik suggested leaking the emails to the press, but Michelle hesitated. A public fight could tank Nexus's stock and her team's livelihoods. The next day, she met her lead engineer, Sophia, who'd been tweaking Nexus's AI. If we tweak the algorithm, Sophia said, we can expose Whitmore's data breaches without them knowing it's us. It was a bold move, ethical AI as a weapon, but it meant delaying the merger talks, risking Whitmore's wrath. Michelle agreed, and Sophia got to work. Hours before the next meeting, Michelle's phone buzzed again. They know you're digging. Her heart stopped. Had the cybersecurity firm betrayed her? Or was someone inside Whitmore watching her every move? Who was onto Michelle? And could she outmaneuver them before the meeting? The boardroom felt like a battlefield. Michelle sat across from the Whitmores, her folder of evidence hidden in her bag. Edward's smile was tighter today, James's smirk gone. Evelyn's eyes bored into her, sharp as knives. Let's finalize terms, Edward said, sliding a revised contract her way. It was worse than before, 70-30, with Michelle demoted to consultant. She took a breath, her voice steady. I've been reviewing your operations, she said, pulling out a single page. Not the contract, but a summary of their data breaches. Nexus's AI flagged irregularities in your telecom data. Care to explain? The room froze. Edward's face reddened. Evelyn's fingers twitched, and James leaned forward, eyes blazing. Careful, Ms. Cole, he said. Accusations have consequences. Michelle held her ground. So does hiding the truth. She didn't mention Evelyn's offshore accounts yet. Edward recovered, laughing it off. A misunderstanding. Let's focus on the merger. But Michelle saw the cracks. Evelyn's clenched jaw, James's fidgeting. They were rattled. As the meeting ended, Edward pulled her aside. Tread lightly, Michelle. We're partners, not enemies. His tone was a velvet threat. Outside, her phone buzzed. Leave now. They're planning something. Michelle's pulse raced. Was it a trap? Or had she just lit a fuse she couldn't control? What were the Whitmores planning? And could Michelle escape their retaliation? Michelle's driver sped through Manhattan as she called Malik. They're spooked, she said. But that text, someone's watching me. Malik urged her to go public, but Michelle hesitated. A leak could destroy Nexus's credibility if it backfired. She needed more time. At home, she found her apartment door ajar. Her heart stopped. Papers were scattered, her laptop open. Someone had been there. She called Sophia, who confirmed the AI tweak was ready but needed 24 hours to deploy. If we expose their breaches now, Sophia said, they'll know it's us. Michelle's mind raced. The Whitmores weren't just playing dirty, they were dangerous. She checked her security cameras, finding grainy footage of a figure in a hoodie. No face, no proof. The next morning, Edward called. Michelle, let's clear the air. Dinner tonight, my estate. It wasn't a request. Against Malik's protests, she agreed. She needed to see their next move. At the Whitmore estate, the opulence was suffocating. Marble floors, gold chandeliers, and a table set for a king. But Edward's warmth was gone. You're making waves, he said, pouring whiskey. Waves sink ships. As Michelle left, Evelyn cornered her. You think you're clever, digging into my accounts? Michelle's blood ran cold. How did she know? Back off, Evelyn hissed, or Nexus is done. Driving away, Michelle's phone buzzed. They're watching your team. Her hand shook. Who was next? Could Michelle protect her team, or had she underestimated the Whitmore's reach? Michelle called an emergency meeting with her core team, Malik, Sophia, and her CFO, Tara. She revealed everything. The emails, Evelyn's accounts, the break-in. Tara's face paled. I got a call last night, she admitted. Anonymous. They offer me $2 million to sabotage the AI tweak. Michelle's heart sank. Betrayal from within? Tara swore she'd refused, but doubt lingered. Sophia's AI was ready to expose Whitmore's breaches, but the risk was sky high. If traced back to Nexus, they'd face lawsuits, maybe worse. Michelle decided to delay the deployment and focus on the mole. She hired a private investigator to trace the burner phone texts. The PI's report came fast. The text came from inside Whitmore Enterprises, likely a disgruntled employee. An ally, or a trap. Michelle met the PI at a diner, where he handed her a name. Claire Voss, Edward's former assistant, fired last month. Claire had access to Whitmore's secrets, but vanished after the texts. Michelle tracked her to a Brooklyn bar. Claire, nervous and chain-smoking, confirmed the worst. They're planning to frame you for the data breach. You're their scapegoat. Michelle's stomach dropped. The merger was a setup from the start. As she left the bar, headlights flashed behind her. A black SUV tailed her cab. Her phone buzzed. You were warned. Was Claire telling the truth, or was she luring Michelle into a bigger trap? Michelle's cab swerved through traffic, the SUV close behind. She directed the driver to a crowded market, slipping into the chaos of vendors and shoppers. Her heart pounded as she ducked into an alley, losing the tail. Gasping, she called Malik. They're coming for me, she said. Get the team somewhere safe. Back at her office, she found Sophia and Tara packing laptops. Malik had secured a safe house in Jersey. As they fled, Michelle's mind raced. Claire's warning made sense. The Whitmores needed a fall guy, and Michelle was perfect. A black CEO they could paint as reckless. She called her lawyer, Rachel, who advised, "Don't go public yet. We need hard evidence." Michelle reached out to Claire again, arranging a meet at a pier. Claire was jittery, eyes darting. "They know I talked," she whispered. "Edward's hiring a fixer to bury this." Before Michelle could press further, a gunshot rang out. Claire screamed, collapsing. Michelle dove behind a crate, heart hammering. Was Claire hit, or was it a warning? Had the Whitmores found them? And could Michelle escape with her life? Claire was unharmed. The shot was a warning, shattering a nearby crate. Michelle pulled her to safety, both trembling. Claire spilled everything. Edward had ordered the data breaches, Evelyn hid the money, and James orchestrated the cover-up. "They'll kill to protect this," Claire said, handing Michelle a USB with recorded conversations. "Get this to the SEC." Michelle hid the USB in her jacket, her mind racing. She sent Claire to a safe house with Malik, then called Rachel. "We're blowing this wide open," she said. Rachel warned, "The SEC will investigate, but Whitmore's lawyers are sharks. You need allies." Michelle reached out to Marcus Lynn and Priya Sharma, who agreed to testify about Whitmore's predatory mergers. But time was running out. Sophia's AI tweak was live, exposing Whitmore's breaches to regulators anonymously. Michelle's phone buzzed with a voicemail from Edward. "You're making a mistake, Michelle. Meet me tomorrow, or Nexus burns." Her blood ran cold. Was he bluffing, or was her company in the crosshairs? Would Michelle face Edward's ultimatum, or risk everything to expose him? Michelle chose to meet Edward at his office, wired by her PI for proof. The room was stark, just Edward and a lawyer. "You've been busy," Edward said, his voice icy. "Withdraw your AI report, or we'll sue Nexus into oblivion." Michelle smiled, calm but steely. "I have recordings, Edward. Your data breaches, Evelyn's accounts, James's orders. It's over." Edward's face twisted, but he laughed. "You think you can outplay us?" He slid a check across the desk, $100 million. "Take it and walk away." Michelle's heart pounded. That money could save Nexus, secure her team's future. But it meant silence, complicity. She pushed the check back. "I'm done playing your game." As she left, alarms blared. Someone had hacked Nexus's servers. Was it the Whitmore's retaliation, or a new player? Who was behind the hack? And could Michelle save Nexus in time? Michelle raced to her office, where Sophia was frantic. The hack had wiped Nexus's AI backups, threatening their entire system. "It's targeted," Sophia said. "Someone with Whitmore-level resources." Michelle's mind flashed to James, his smirk, his tech connections. She called her PI, who traced the hack to a firm tied to Whitmore's allies. They were trying to erase her leverage. Michelle rallied her team. Sophia restored partial backups, while Malik leaked Claire's recordings to the press. X lit up with outrage, hashtags like #WhitmoreExposed trending. But the SEC needed more, hard evidence tying Edward to the breaches. Michelle sent the USB to Rachel, who filed it with regulators. Hours later, news broke. Whitmore's stock was tanking, and Edward was under investigation. But the victory fell hollow. Another text from the burner phone. You won the battle, not the war. Michelle's heart sank. What else were the Whitmores planning? Was the worst over? Was a bigger threat looming? The media frenzy was relentless. Michelle's face was on every news site, hailed as a whistleblower, but vilified by Whitmore's allies as a disgruntled opportunist. Nexus's stock plummeted, and her team faced harassment, online trolls, threatening calls. Malik urged her to step back, but Michelle refused. We didn't come this far to hide, she said. Rachel called with news. The SEC had frozen Evelyn's accounts, and James was cooperating to save himself. But Edward was silent, vanished to his Hamptons estate. Michelle's PI warned, he's not done. Watch your back. That night, her car's brakes failed on a quiet road. She swerved, unharmed but shaken. It wasn't an accident. Michelle met Priya and Marcus, forming a coalition of CEOs to expose predatory mergers. Their press conference was set for tomorrow, but as she prepared, a final text arrived. You'll regret this. Could Michelle face the Whitmore's final move? Or was her fight about to cost her everything? The press conference was packed, cameras flashing as Michelle, Priya, and Marcus took the stage. Michelle's voice was steady as she laid out Whitmore's crimes. Data breaches, extortion, minority-led companies targeted. The crowd gasped at Claire's recordings, Edward's voice damning him. X exploded, #Justice for Nexus, trending worldwide. Mid-speech, Michelle's phone buzzed. Edward, live on a rival network, calling her a liar. She fabricated evidence to sabotage our deal, he claimed. The room erupted, reporters shouting questions. Michelle held up the USB. The truth doesn't bend, she said. The SEC confirmed the recordings were authentic, and Edward's empire crumbled. But backstage, Malik pulled her aside. Evelyn's gone rogue. She's leaking doctored emails framing you for the hack. Michelle's heart raced. One last trap, and it could ruin her. Could Michelle clear her name before Evelyn's lies destroyed her legacy? Michelle worked through the night with Sophia and Rachel, tracing Evelyn's doctored emails to a hired hacker. They sent proof to the SEC, who arrested Evelyn that morning. Edward, cornered, pleaded guilty to avoid a trial. James cut a deal, exposing the full scope of Whitmore's schemes. Their empire was done. Nexus survived, battered but stronger. Michelle rebuilt, focusing on ethical AI and mentoring young CEOs of color. She turned down lucrative offers from other conglomerates, choosing independence over compromise. At a gala months later, she stood before her team, her mother in the front row. We didn't just win, she said. We redefined power by standing for what's right. Thank you for joining Michelle's journey. Her story isn't just about business. It's about the fight for respect, the courage to stand alone, and the power of walking away when the table isn't set for you. Ask yourself, what's your table? What's worth fighting for? Hit that like button, share this story, and let's spark a conversation about leading with principle in a world that tests your soul. Subscribe for more stories that inspire, challenge, and remind us your voice matters.